Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. It's Saturday, July 26th, 2025. This is day 659 of the ongoing ethnic cleansing and genocide of Gaza. Today's daily update has lots of news. There's lots of things happening. Many of the updates today come from Haaretz, an Israeli newspaper, but the news just broke that it's already Sunday morning in Israel, and there's currently a humanitarian pause on the fighting in Gaza. Israel has said that they would enact this on Sunday morning, which it is now for them. The Israeli Foreign Ministry announced this on Saturday night, their time, local time, in a statement. The pause is being enacted in civilian centers and in humanitarian quarters to enable the distribution of aid supply. Israel has continued to facilitate the entry of aid trucks into the Gaza Strip, so they say. Now, they also put in the statement that the UN has failed so far to collect and distribute the large amount of aid trucks that are stored in designated areas inside of the Gaza Strip. What we hear from UN counterparts and from those in the international humanitarian development agencies is that they're not allowed to touch those trucks, that it's for security reasons. And so what happens is trucks are taken into Gaza and then the food's not allowed to be distributed. I'll talk about that more in a minute. The Foreign Ministry of Israel says it rejects the false accusations of starvation propaganda initiated by Hamas. I just want to say, I know people in Gaza. I'm going to read an update that I just got from the Gaza Strip from someone who's the head of a major international development agency there. He's a Palestinian Muslim from Gaza. How can people deny that there are children going hungry right now? It's unfathomable. So the foreign ministry said it's not happening, it's propaganda. So here we go again. Now food is being dropped by the sky. It has started already, and this is such utter nonsense. I don't even have words for it. So are thousands of trucks waiting by Gaza checkpoints to be let into the strip. And instead of letting food in and allowing the aid mechanism that was working effectively and honoring security protocols being distributed by UNRWA, food is being dropped from the sky. What a farce. I have so many words I want to say right now, but I will seek to center my spirit in the midst of this utter catastrophe. And what idiots allow this to happen? Israel has begun the airdrop of aid to Gaza. IDF and Palestinian sources have said this started today, a few days after more than 100 aid agencies, including Churches for Middle East Peace, have warned that mass starvation was spreading across the enclave. Palestinian sources confirmed that aid has begun dropping in North Gaza. Before that began, the IDF announced that they were going to do it and that they would create these humanitarian corridors in order to be able to enable UN convoys to travel safely in Gaza, as well as to renew airdrops of humanitarian aid to the territory. Per the IDF, the humanitarian airdrop operation will be carried out in coordination with international aid organizations. The airdrop will include 7 pallets of supplies. 7 pallets. That's like nothing. I mean, one of the things about airdrops is it's so expensive. The last time it happened, children died because bread boxes fell on their head. If you talk to anyone who knows anything about international aid, airdrops are a last resort when there's no other mechanism. And there's a mechanism that will allow food into Gaza. It's just that the Israeli security establishment will not let it in. Today, an Israeli soldier died from his wounds sustained in the south of Gaza. Literally, Israel is suffering as this is continuing. And the Israeli military said that the Air Force struck under 100, quote, terror targets in the Gaza Strip over the past day. If they look at it, they call it a terrorist target. The IDF aircraft attacked and killed a, quote, terrorist cell that planted an explosive device targeting IDF forces, and a launcher was struck after an anti-tank missile was fired at forces in the area, the army said. I have no doubt that there is still active military resistance by, the Hamas military wing and by other militant groups in Gaza. I have no doubt. But look at the whole picture of the situation. Hamas should be adjudicated for their crimes that were committed on October 7th, just the way that the civilian population of Gaza should not. They should not be starved as a weapon of war. In the last 24 hours, at least 42 Palestinians have been killed overnight into Saturday as starvation deaths continue. Ceasefire talks have seemingly stalled. Gunfire has killed at least a dozen people that were waiting for aid trucks at the Zakim crossing with Israel in the north. Bodies have been taken to the Shifa hospital that reported on the deaths. Israel's military said it fired warning shots to a distance in a crowd in response to an immediate threat, and it was not aware of any casualties. Hamas's military wing has increased its readiness over concerns of potential Israeli raids to rescue hostages. Sources within Hamas told an Arab newspaper, Al-Sharq Al-Awsat. The IDF also does not have any proof that Hamas systematically stole aid from the United Nations in Gaza, and the UN's distribution services were largely effective in providing the Palestinian population with food. So says a New York Times report that cites 2 senior Israeli military officials and 2 other Israelis that are familiar with the matter. The Israeli establishment is saying Hamas didn't steal aid from the UN in Gaza. Just for the record, I talked about yesterday and this past week a report from the US aid and the US government that said the same thing. Hamas has not systematically stolen aid. Just to give you an idea of the situation in the Gaza Strip right now, I'm afraid today's update is going to be robust because there's a lot to share. As famine has spread, Israel destroys supplies from 1,000 aid trucks that it refused to let into Gaza. Dropsite News reported this. Khan News, Israel's public broadcaster, spoke with military officials who admitted they destroyed food, water, and medical supplies for more than 1,000 trucks that were left to rot at the Kerem Shalom crossing. That's the crossing from Israel into Gaza. While Gaza's health ministry has been warning of mass deaths unfolding in real time, Israel had blocked UN officials from collecting the trucks to distribute them in Gaza. Aid was blocked. And then maybe it was rotten because it wasn't allowed in, and then it was destroyed. Listen to some of these quotes. We buried everything in the ground, and some of it we even burned, an Israeli army official told Khan News. Even today, thousands of packages are sitting in the sun. If they're not transferred into the strip, we will have to destroy those too. The mechanism simply doesn't work, one military source said. The trucks are stuck. There's a mechanism that doesn't function. There are problems with the roads, and coordination isn't working either. We have here the largest grain warehouse that exists, he said. If the goods currently sitting aren't collected, we'll clear it out and bury the supplies. On airdrops, this has been attempted, and it was a complete failure. I'm like, if you don't believe me, ask experts. And even the Israeli military is saying we attempted this and it was a complete failure, just like the port was built. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, use the systems that work. I'm sorry, I'm just so 659 days. And famine is occurring. This is famine, the health ministry in Gaza said. Over 122 people, including 83 children, have died from hunger. 9 people died in the last 24 hours alone. Children are dying before our very eyes. Mothers are miscarrying in tents because they can't afford a single meal. That's the ministry director general in the Gaza Strip. Acute malnutrition among children under 5 has surged from 0.5% to 11.5% in just the last month. We expect many more deaths in the coming days and even hours. This famine has spared no one. Even medical workers haven't eaten. Some send what little food they have to their families, and the world just watches, waiting for everyone to die. A former worker from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has said that he witnessed war crimes in Gaza. So this is a retired U.S. Special Forces officer. He reported and revealed to BBC why he resigned from his work with the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and the work at the aid distribution centers. He said, I witnessed the IDF shooting at the crowds of Palestinians. His name is Anthony Aguilar. He added that in his entire career, he has never witnessed such a level of brutality and the use of indiscriminate and unnecessary force against a civilian population, an unarmed, starving population. And I wanted to share with you what I heard from my contact in Gaza this past week. I've been in touch daily since October 7th and then weekly. This last time I sent numerous messages, and it was more than a month since I heard from him. Now, I knew he hadn't died because he's an international figure, and so it would hit the news, which is a horrific, horrific thing to wait for. God have mercy. He said, hello, Dr. May. Apologies for the delay in reply. I am tired of writing and following on the developments. Things never move in the right direction. Yesterday, my kids survived a bloody airstrike near our home. My wife and I were at work, shrapnel, broken windows. I really don't know how we manage. It's day by day, or meal by meal, or water jerry can, one after the other. Now, he's privileged. He is a distributor of aid in Gaza, and so he has very limited access to water. He has no stove by which to cook food, no gas to use, and so they burn plastic and wood. He said, the pressure from relatives, friends, and colleagues and ordinary people you know or don't know makes it harder. It's not for me and my family only. I don't live in a vacuum. Therefore, even when you have something to eat, you feel so guilty about it. With my wife, her work schedule is even worse. She's working 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts with limited food and limited resources. Many of her colleagues can't come because they live too far away. His son goes to the nearby hospital. He's studying in the medical field, and he's in his 5th year of studies. One of his daughters is working with the university to allow her to take her last 9 credit hours she needs in order to be able to graduate. His other daughter is depressed. She has final high school exams, and they're just not happening. There is no school. He has another daughter who has special needs, and she does not have any schooling, any resources, any support or rehabilitation. The time is running out, and we don't have any plans for her. She's growing up. She's taller, but it's harder for her to walk because of the difficulties that her body has become heavier. For me, things are harder. I'm confused. I'm uncertain about what I should do or what I should have done. I don't know about the future, the nearest future, today, tomorrow, or the far. I know that even if I decided to leave Gaza, it would not have happened with the number of people that are on the wait list at the Rafah terminal. Mentally, emotionally, leaving would have broken me, and I'm already so broken. I wouldn't have worked for my children. My wife is not ready to accept leaving and what that would mean. And yet, what will happen if we stay? Ugh, I'm happy to have someone to trust, to share this with, who will listen and not judge. God have mercy. There was another flotilla that attempted to get into Gaza. It was seized by Israel today. It's a ship called Handallah. I won't go into great details about that, but an assembly member said the IDF boats neared the ship in order to kidnap us from international waters illegally. It was seeking to call attention to the catastrophes that are happening in the Gaza Strip. All over Israel, there have been landmark protests, many with Israelis walking and carrying pictures of starving children. Could this be a turning point that's so desperately needed? An analysis in Israeli news said the protest won't end the hunger in Gaza, but for Israeli Arabs, it has torn through their wall of fear. There was a protest in North Israel in Sakhnin under the banner "No to Starvation in Gaza," and it was a powerful reminder that of the delicate position that Arab citizens of Israel are in. 20% of the state, they're deeply tied to their Israeli citizenship, but unwilling to stay silent in the face of the humanitarian catastrophe befalling their people in the Gaza Strip. 10,000 people took place in this particular march, which is quite symbolic and significant. Many of them held families of pictures of starving children. While the crowd was smaller than some of the past national rallies, the turnout was still significant. There's been a hostile climate towards Arab citizens since October 7th. Protesters saw their participation as an act of courage, breaking through what they described as a wall of fear, particularly for Arab citizens who feared even losing their citizenship. Many of their stores were ransacked and things after October 7th. And so it's a very delicate situation. There also was a former hostage, Or Levy, who spoke at a hostage deal protest in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square. He said, "Mr. President, speaking about Trump, only you have the power to break this cruel and dangerous stalemate." Also in Israel, an officer banned left-wing activists from holding signs that say "Stop the starvation" at a protest in Haifa and threatened their arrest. In Israel, you're not allowed to say that children are starving in Gaza. It's considered Hamas propaganda. Israeli police say that they also arrested a suspect in a car ramming in central Israel after he hid in a construction site in the area. In the meantime, literally, the occupied West Bank is on fire. Deir Allah in the southwest bank overnight, settlers set fire to many buildings in that village. According to the Israeli military, they detained 12 suspects at the scene and transferred them to police custody. Related to Iran, Israel planned to strike regime targets to topple the Islamic Republic of Iran, but Trump halted those strikes by announcing a ceasefire. I don't know the timeline. I didn't read that specific article, but Trump has power that he can use for good or not. A Syrian delegation comprised with foreign ministers and general intelligence met with Israeli officials in Paris. They discussed recent security developments and an effort to contain the escalation in South Syria. We've been talking about that in past days about the Suwaida district. Finally, there are calls for His Holiness Pope Francis to go into Gaza. This was from Current Affairs magazine. Quoting the book of James, they said, "What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says, 'Depart in peace, be warmed and filled,' but you do not give them the things that they need for their body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." The Pope himself concurs. He's been calling for a ceasefire and an immediate direct quote to the end of the barbarity of war. He's been following in the footsteps of His Holiness Pope Francis, who called the church in Gaza, the Holy Family Catholic Church, every night. He wrapped the infant Jesus in a keffiyeh and the nativity scene. He charged the IDF with terrorism. But many people online, like tens of thousands, are calling for Pope Leo to go beyond mere statements and take action. The Pope should go to Gaza and bring aid in, says a journalist, Mohammed Al-Safin, in a post that has more than 44,000 likes. He should dare the Israelis to block him. Words, no matter how heartfelt, will not save a single starving child. Or, as civil rights lawyer Alec Karkatsanis puts it, the Pope could board a ship with aid, sail to Gaza, with the UN declaring the final stages of famine that might be irreversible for millions. Bold acts of courage by everyone in a position to do something are the only chance. May we pray that we know what the bold act of courage is that God might call each of us to, and might we be faithful to it. In the name of Christ. Amen.